Where the New Orleans Saints rank with the rest of the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mina Kimes, Ryan Clark on Mina Kimes' show. Now, on the show, they picked every team in the NFL. So they did like a draft. Like, first overall was the Kansas City Chiefs. Second overall was the San Francisco 49ers. We are going to talk about where they selected the New Orleans Saints. And we're going to talk about, we're going to hear why they selected them, some pros, some cons, and we will react like only I can do. Shout out. This video was sent to me in the form of a voice message on our live stream that we do on Thursdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So shout out. Thank you very much for bringing this to my attention. Now let's go ahead. I have seen where they picked the Saints. I've seen the number. It's an hour and 2-minute video, so obviously we can't watch the entire thing. My reaction would be like 4 hours. It'd be like Lord of the Rings, director's edition. So let's go right into the video.
Okay. So the Patriots are still on the board. I'm going to go Saints here. Patriots or Saints?
Okay, so this is number 27 is where Mina picks the Saints.
We're at 27.
I'm going to say Saints. I'm going Saints.
Okay.
I'm going Saints.
Or I guess both of them picked the Saints. The fact that it was either the Saints or the Patriots is absolutely insane. The Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL, which I guess they think the Saints are too if it were at number 27. I mean, y'all can do the math. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. The Patriots should be in the same conversation as the Broncos and the Giants, and that's really probably about it. Like those are far and away the worst teams in the NFL. The Saints are certainly not.
Listen, my bias is always leaking some type of way.
Okay, if you look at this board behind my head here, you can see the Falcons are at 16, Steelers 17, Colts, Bears, Bucks. So Bucks at 20, and the Saints are at 27. Cardinals are at 23. Vikings are at 22. It's insane to think that the Falcons can be 11 spots higher than the Saints, and the Bucks can be 7 spots higher.
Mina, I'm coming from, I forget where I was coming from. I have a layover in Nashville. Demario Davis is on my flight.
My guy.
Obviously, he preached to me for 5 minutes at the airport. And we left around midnight. He's watching OTA practice on the way to...
Yeah, that's the man right there.
All-time underrated players.
Oh,
yeah, 100%.
Oh, my
100%.
God.
He's a superstar. Yeah.
So good. But just talking through the way that they were attacked, the different things that they have to do, he actually believes in Derek Carr and the adjustments that they're making. And now I'm talking about this like we're still talking top 10 because we aren't, but he wants the defense to get back to what it was, and he believes that they can. And I think when I see certain things like that, I'm like, this dude can't fail, at least in his capacity of what he's trying to do. So I'm going to go with the Saints.
Okay, Patriots are still available.
What the hell was that? That was the analysis of why the Saints are 27? What the hell? Let's go to the Falcons and hear if they kind of talk a little bit more about the actual football and see if we can kind of, cross-reference the two.
Falcons, we're at the 16th spot. Falcons versus Steelers here.
Falcons. I didn't want to do it either.
Tell me why.
I think Kirk Cousins, as of now, is better than both quarterbacks in the quarterback room of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I do believe the Falcons have really good weapons. I just do. I believe the Falcons have.
Okay, let's talk about the weapons, because that's what we always hear. Okay, first of all, they've been 7-10 for the last four years. All right, let's just talk about the weapons. I'm getting fired up because I keep hearing this about how this is what pisses me off. Okay, we're gonna boom to the side the weapons. We're gonna talk about what pisses me off. Don't look at me like that, Mina. I think it's crazy that people are like, yeah, I think the Falcons kind of have some good weapons. Kirk Cousins is cool. Let's put them 16. Let's put them NFC Championship. Let's put them 12 wins. And then they go to the Saints, and they're like, man, the Saints have an incredible linebacker in Demario Davis, an incredible cornerback in Marshawn Lattimore. The Saints, they got Cam Jordan. I mean, the Saints have, Chris Olave is ready to take the next step. We know what Alvin Kamara can do. Let's put the Saints at 27. Let's put the Saints at 6 wins. It's like, what the hell just happened? If you're going to put a team at 27, if you're going to put a team at 6 wins, 7 wins, whatever, you better come correct and tell me why. You better come correct and tell me why they are one of the worst teams in the NFL. There is, again, ladies and gentlemen, last year, the Saints were 9-8. The Saints were cheeks last year. We can all agree with that. The Saints were cheeks last year. Weren't good. Weren't fun to watch. Miserable. 9-8. Awful team. With all that said, bad enough to where they fired their entire offensive staff. With all that being said, they lost in a tiebreaker to win the division. With all that being said, they were 9-8. So how in the worst, a much worse year last year, we can all agree the Saints were worse last year. You have to agree with that. That's not even a question. They have to be worse than last year, or they have to be worse last year than they are right now, because we've made the upgrades. We saw what the problems were last year. We've rectified the situation, so we have to be better. So how can the worst case scenario of last year be 9-8, and then all of a sudden now, because 9-8 is not the 27th worst team, 9-8 is probably around like the 20th worst team in the NFL, somewhere in there. Maybe even that honestly might be a little low. 9-8 probably is like the 16th worst team, something like that. 27 is like, I mean, let's just look at the records from last year. Look at the bottom of the league. Carolina 2-15, Washington 4-13, New England 4-13, Arizona 4-13, the Chargers 5-12, the Titans 6-11, the Giants 6-11. 32nd would be the Panthers, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27. Last year, the 27th worst team in the NFL would have been 6-11. All right, 6-11. Then you've got 4 teams at 7-10. Then you got 2 teams at 8-9. All right, 9-8. Look at 9-8. Packers, Bengals, Jaguars, Saints, Bucks. Those are all the teams that are 9-8. If you go to Mina's board, let's go to Mina's board because we were looking at it on this. Okay, so if you look at Mina's board, the Packers are 7th. She's got the Packers 7th. They were 9-8 last year. The Bengals 9th, 9-8 last year. I understand Burrow was hurt. I understand that they're high on Jordan Love. Who else did we say was 9-8? With the Seahawks? The Seahawks were 9-8. They're 15th. Bucks 9-8, 20th. Jaguars 9-8, 21st. It's insane. The Cardinals won 4 games? Titans 6 games? Chargers 5 games? And they're all well ahead of the Saints. I understand if people forget about the Saints and they think the Saints are mediocre and they think the Saints are average and they think the Saints are whatever. I'm okay with that. Then put them at 17 or 18 or 19 or 20. Throwing them at 27, throwing them in there with a team that last year, you're saying the Saints are going to win 5 games is what you're doing. If you're going to say they're the 27th ranked team, you are saying that they are a 4, 5, or 6 win team. How the hell do you look at the Saints and you look at what they have on the roster? And I'm not saying the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl, but it's insane to look at what they have on the roster, look what they did last year, look at the upgrades they made, and then just toss them in the bottom 5. Bananas. Now let's talk about the Falcons' weapons. Bijan Robinson. Okay, cool. Is he a top 5 running back in the NFL? I don't know. Is he a top 8 running back in the NFL? Maybe. So let's just say top 8 running back in the NFL. Okay, sweet. I don't even care if you say top 5. Say top 5. Top 5 running back in the NFL. All right? Bijan Robinson. Drake London. Is Drake London a top 25 receiver? Maybe. Probably not. Rondale Moore. Sweet. Who the hell cares? Darnell Mooney. Sweet. Who the hell cares? Kyle Pitts. Is he a top, I don't know, is he a top 10 tight end? He certainly has not been. I guess you could still say he has potential. Where are these weapons? I'm getting fired up. Where are the weapons? The weapon is Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is cool. We agree with that. Who cares? Bijan Robinson is cool, but that's not going to make a 7-10 team last year all of a sudden be a 12-13 win team. James, they got Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is, 35 years old off of an Achilles injury? We have no clue what version of Kirk Cousins we're getting. Let's say let's say the injury never happens. And let's say we're just getting Kirk Cousins. Let's say we're getting the Kirk Cousins that we got in Minnesota. What is that going to get you? Because I know what I got Minnesota. Nothing. Kirk Cousins is 1-4 in his career in the playoffs. Kirk Cousins in Minnesota was Kirk Cousins. That was it. He is as average as it gets. He is as 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th ranked quarterback as it gets. 12 is high. He is in that middle tier as it possibly gets. So currently, what is propping up the Falcons, who have been absolute ass for four straight seasons, is Kirk Cousins on one leg, who at his best is a little above average. Bijan Robinson, who, okay, cool, sure. And then a wide receiver group of Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and Rondale Moore. Does that strike fear into the hearts of you? Drake London, Rondale Moore, and Darnell Mooney? Is anybody like dying to play with this team on Madden? Is that really and truly one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL? I would say that's toward the bottom half of the NFL in wide receiver rooms. That is crazy. And that's given Drake London a lot of love. I'm not going to sit here and say that Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and A.T. Perry is, a top 10 wide receiver unit. But Chris Olave, A.T. Perry, and Rashid Shaheed is right around the same as Drake London, Rondale Moore, and Darnell Mooney. Right around the same. Certainly not 11 spots below. Now let's get away from the weapons. And let's talk about the real stuff. The Falcons, what was their problem last year? They had two problems. What was their problems? I might have a heart attack in this video. Problem number one, Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith was a horrific play caller. Terrible play caller. No doubt about it. Bad coach, bad offensive coordinator, however you want to phrase it. They brought in Raheem Morris as a head coach. Raheem Morris has nothing to do with the offense. So all of that Arthur Smith was bad, Arthur Smith is ass, Arthur Smith is whatever, it's up to Zach Robinson to fix that. We don't know what we're going to get out of Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson's never called plays. It's a total unknown. So their biggest problem, the biggest problem they have of Arthur Smith, the solution is Zach Robinson. Unknown. So you can't just sit here and be like, well, they fixed that. We don't know. Now let's talk about Raheem Morris. The defense was terrible. Okay? Defense is still terrible, but the defense was terrible last year. DVOA ranked them as the 24th worst defense in the NFL. That is bad. That is real damn bad. All right? Newsflash. Kirk Cousins, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and Rondale Moore aren't playing on defense. And I'll tell you this, Rondale Moore and Darnell Mooney might play on defense, and I wouldn't even notice. Because who the hell is watching Darnell Mooney and Rondale Moore? But they have the 24th ranked defense last year in DVOA. James, ESPN has yards per game. The Falcons were 14th. Quit slobbering all over your keyboard and quit worrying about ESPN's yards per game and go to some real metrics. Go to DVOA. Go to some actual analytics. So all of the stuff we're hearing about Bijan and the weapons and Cousins and all of that doesn't fix the defense. All right? Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator-wise, last year was the 10th ranked defensive coordinator after Week 18 by Patent Analytics. By the way, Dennis Allen was number 1. So Raheem Morris, let's just say somewhere around the 10th best DC. Okay, sure. As a head coach, what is he? Someone double check me. 15 games under 500? 20 games under 500 as a head coach? Somewhere in there? So all of a sudden, the Falcons are being propped up by Kirk Cousins off a bum Achilles, a failed head coach who, just like Dennis Allen, hasn't won nothing as a head coach, a total unknown as offensive coordinator, Rondale Moore, Darnell Mooney. We're getting them mixed up now because they're just random names in my head. That's what's propping the Falcons up from being 7-10 the last 4 years to all of a sudden they're the 16th ranked team in the NFL and they're everybody's pick to be the NFC champions. It's ridiculous. Now, no hate. This isn't a anti-Falcons video. The whole point is there's a lot of question marks for the Falcons. There's a lot of question marks for the Saints. There's a lot of question marks for the Bucs. If I was the Bucs, I'd be pissed. The Bucs have won the division the last couple of years. The Bucs have probably the least amount of change out of all those NFC teams. The only change that the Bucs really have to deal with is Canales leaving from Tampa and going to Carolina, and how that's going to affect Baker Mayfield. But really, not too much else has changed for the Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers, who beat the Eagles in the playoffs, have won the division a couple years in a row. They just get tossed at 20 because people don't want to do the work, and people don't want to dig into the team. They just want to say, I saw Bijan highlights on TikTok. Falcons 16. Yay. Kirk Cousins is cool. Kirko Chains. Remember, he did the funny commercial. Falcons 16. It's ridiculous. If you put Falcons, or if you put Bucks 20, Falcons 21, Saints 22, I wouldn't be making this video. Because, okay, understandable. If you put Falcons 16, Bucks 17, Saints 18, okay, I wouldn't even be making this video. Understandable. Any order you want to put the three teams, put them in the order, put them right with each other. Where I make this video is whenever it's Falcons 16, Bucks 20, which is unreal to even think like, yeah, the Bucks are 4 teams worse than the Falcons. And why? Why? What has shown that? What are you basing that off of? Raheem Morris's record as a head coach? No. Kirk Cousins over Baker Mayfield? No. Like, what are you ranking in the 4 spots for them? And then to say, you know what, let's just forget about all that. Take the Cardinals, take the Titans, take the Chargers, take the Jaguars, take all those teams. The Cardinals is crazy. Titans is crazy to take them. But to take all of them and then drops 11 spots from the Falcons and get to the Saints, when the Saints were a tiebreaker away from winning the division, unbelievable. And I say this, I was just talking about this in the comments section. I always talk about the Green Bay game with the New Orleans Saints because there was an 18-point blown lead or 18-point unanswered. Carr gets hurt. Winston comes in. Saints lose that game on the road in Green Bay. And everyone's like, well, you know, you can't say ifs and buts and all that, whatever. The point is that people are so driven by narratives and they're so driven by the record, and they use that as the main metric. Think about the difference and what this ranking would be if the Saints were a 10-win NFC South champion last year. Do you think the Saints would be the 27th ranked team if they won 10 games last year, won the NFC South, beat Green Bay on the road? Do you think that would have happened? Hell no. But what's the difference? What's the difference in this team that we currently have in reality and the what-if situation if they beat Green Bay? There is no difference in the actual team. And if there is a difference, it's actually for the positive, because the difference is a whole new offensive coaching staff, Talise Fuaga, Derek Carr in his second year, Alvin Kamara not suspended. The only differences of that team is the Carr injury, the variable, right? The result. That is the difference. But that has changed the narrative so damn much. That has changed the narrative so much that you're seeing a team that should have been a 10-win NFC South champion. They're so irrelevant in everyone else's eyes that they just forget about them and put them at 27. Think about that. The Falcons were 7-10 last year. The Saints were a Derek Carr shoulder injury away from being a 10-win NFC South champion. And both teams made positive moves to better their team, we think. And yet, one team is 16th and one team is 27th. Strictly a media narrative thing.
And I do believe the Falcons have really good weapons. I just do. I believe the Falcons have weapons that create matchup problems. And if you go back to last year defensively, a guy who I think is really good, you can weigh in. I felt like A.J. Terrell had a down year last year, especially when you compare his play to the year before. But you also get Jesse Bates that comes in and has,
Jesse Bates is sweet.
The sort of effect from a safety position that we saw with guys like Earl, right? Being able to get the football in the middle of the field, turn defense into offense. If AJ picks up his play, and the only thing that scares me is pass rush. How are they going to generate a pass rush from a
Kirk Cousins? Cousins will do it. Yeah, because apparently he's going to fix everything. So Cousins will deal with the pass rush. Raheem Morris, he'll suit up. He'll be out there. Zach Robinson, I guess, is playing cornerback. Yeah, don't worry about it. No doubt. I mean, you could argue that Cam Jordan had a down year last year. You could argue that Marshawn Lattimore being hurt last year. You could say, like, you're expecting those guys to have a bounce back year. You could say that the Saints also have weapons that cause matchup problems, like Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. You could say those kind of things.
Team that
they're no Darnell Mooney.
Couldn't generate a pass rush, but instead of even trading back in the draft.
Instead of trading back, getting a pass rusher, filling a need, getting better, changing the negative into a positive. Instead of doing that, what did they do? They took a backup quarterback who will not see the field at all. They punted on their first overall pick. Wow, that sounds like shit, Ryan. What do you want to do with the Falcons? Let's take them 16th overall.
And getting somebody that can rush the passer. You draft a
16.
Right? And so what Raheem Morris is going to be tasked with doing is, if you made this choice for your future, how do you affect your present by creating a pass rush?
It's going to be an interesting and unique challenge. And it is funny, right, to compare them against the Steelers, where it's kind of the invert. They have an incredible pass rush. And now they have their former coaches, their play caller, Arthur Smith. So the Steelers are still on the board.
Yeah, I mean, you hear that, and that's exactly my point. Exactly my point is that you hear that Falcons description. You hear that. And if you just heard that, you're like, that didn't sound great. That didn't sound awesome at all. And then you look at the board and you're like, wait, what the hell? The Falcons are 16th? What just happened? What do you mean? And then all that was talked about with the Saints was DeMario Davis in an airport. Exactly. They don't know. No hate to Ryan Clark, no hate to Mina Kimes. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the NFC South. I don't know if it's New Orleans. I don't know if it's Derek Carr, Dennis Allen. I really don't know. For some reason, the Saints do not get watched by any analyst except me. I'm the only analyst in the world, apparently, that watches the Saints. Because you hear that. I guarantee you, I could go through every single one of these. And you're going to hear multiple players, coaches, schemes, whatever. And the Saints...
Wendy's has news.
Wendy's? God, blew my eardrums out. And then the Saints... Ryan Clark talks about some airport conversation with DeMario Davis watching OTAs, and that is it. Didn't mention Clint Kubiak, didn't mention Kamara, didn't mention Lattimore's injury last year, didn't mention Talise Fuaga. Insane. Okay? It's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not happy about it. It's just crazy. And I'm not even asking for that much. I'm not saying that the Saints should be... I'm not even saying the Saints should be ranked the highest in the NFC South. I'm okay with ranking the Falcons highest if you want to. I'm okay with ranking the Buccaneers highest. I'm not okay with there being a 10-game separation, 11-game separation between any of those three. If it would have been the Falcons 16, the Saints 20, and the Buccaneers 27, I'd be making this video saying, how the hell are you going to rank the Buccaneers at 27? That's a great question, James. Because how insane would it sound, ladies and gentlemen, for the Buccaneers to be ranked 27th? They won the division last year. They've won the division 3 years in a row. They beat the Eagles in the playoffs. They're bringing everybody back. And you're saying, yeah, that does sound kind of crazy. And then you're like, wow, actually, that's not too far off from the Saints. They had the same record as the Saints. They won the division on a tiebreaker. The Saints absolutely dog-walked them at the end of the season. Dog-walked the Falcons, too. The Saints are bringing everybody back. That is kind of crazy to rank a team with all of those qualifiers 27. That is kind of insane. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to go take some blood pressure medicine after this video. The saucy wings, unbelievable that this is where we are in American nutrition and diet. I can't even imagine the amount of canola oil seeping through these saucy nuggets. Unbelievable, Wendy's. Get on down in the comments below. Pop off. I really fired off in this video. This is a good one. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.